The most powerful mortal in Universe 7 becomes the newest god of destruction, the most powerful god of destruction of all universes. Come with me, and I will explain all this to you because the evil emperor is back in action. So, without further delay, let's go. Ever since Frieza was resurrected to participate in the Tournament of Power, something inside him completely changed. For the first time, the evil emperor witnessed with his own eyes the true level of power that existed beyond his understanding. During that tournament, he saw gods, angels, and mortals who defied the impossible. And it was there, on that battlefield that united entire universes, that a new type of ambition was born within him. No longer just to govern the universe, but to surpass divinity itself. Since then, Frieza began to desire something that few would even dare to dream of: to unseat Beerus and become a god of destruction. Frieza has always been obsessed with power, but the Tournament of Power was a watershed. He realized that Beerus, the god his own father feared so much, was not unreachable. By observing Goku and Vegeta fighting Jiren, and especially by seeing Goku master Ultra Instinct, Frieza understood that divinities were not perfect entities. They were just beings who had reached a superior stage of power and control. From that point on, his wounded pride prevented him from accepting the idea of remaining below someone like Beerus. During the tournament, Frieza showed unmatched astuteness and coldness. Even though he wasn't the strongest, he manipulated situations, formed temporary alliances, and coldly calculated every move. He realized that brute force alone was not enough. Strategy, patience, and above all, a plan were needed. And that is exactly what he began to plot after the tournament. A path not just to reach the divine level, but to replace it. After the end of the Tournament of Power, Frieza returned to life completely. And unlike before, he was not content with simply rebuilding his army. He had a purpose. His new goal was to train beyond mortal limits, comprehend divine energy, and prove that he could be more efficient in destruction than Beerus himself. That is when he disappeared from the spotlight for years, until he returned with something that shook the cosmic balance: the Black Frieza form. The Black Frieza form was not just a physical advancement, it symbolized the absolute mastery over his body and mind. Frieza trained alone for an immeasurable time in an unknown dimension, reaching a power level capable of subjugating Goku and Vegeta in their strongest states. But, more than that, he achieved something that not even Beerus expected: a power that emanated destructive, cold, and refined energy, very close to the essence of a god of destruction. When Beerus learned of Frieza's new form, he did not show fear, but something in his gaze betrayed concern. Even if it was out of pride, Beerus knew that the being he previously treated as a simple, disposable piece now dangerously walked near his domain. Whis, on the other hand, saw everything with serenity, as if he had already expected destiny to lead Frieza to this point. Frieza began to test his limits, destroying entire planets with a single touch, studying the energy of destruction, and even trying to comprehend the ki used by the gods. He observed and imitated. He learned quickly. With every new achievement, his arrogance grew, but so did his control. Unlike the past, where hatred blinded him, Frieza was now cold and methodical, worthy of a true god of ruin. The desire to dethrone Beerus, however, was not just about power, it was about revenge. Beerus was the one who allowed Frieza to destroy planet Vegeta, but also the one who treated him like a pawn. Knowing that a being like Beerus saw him as a tool, always gnawed at him. And now he wants to reverse the roles. He wants to look into the eyes of the god of destruction and prove that the gods can also bleed. In the confines of the universe, Frieza has already begun to form a new empire, not just of soldiers, but of devout followers. Beings from different galaxies who worship him as a divinity, the god of cold chaos. This adoration fuels him, making him even more dangerous. He believes that the faith of these civilizations strengthens his presence in the universe, bringing him closer to a spiritual level similar to Beerus's. Beerus, in turn, remains attentive. Even with his lazy and disinterested personality, he senses that something is moving in the shadows. Universe 7's balance depends on fear, and Frieza is removing fear, replacing it with admiration. A god of destruction who is not feared but followed could be a threat even greater than any villain of the past. Whis, observing all this, comments to Goku and Vegeta that perhaps the universe is about to witness something unprecedented, the emergence of a self-proclaimed destroyer. He knows that Frieza does not seek the throne for justice or balance, but for revenge and ego. However, he also knows that if Frieza truly masters the energy of destruction, Beerus himself may be challenged, and the result of that could shake even the supreme gods. Deep down, Frieza knows he still cannot face Beerus on equal terms, but his confidence grows every day. He is no longer the Emperor defeated by the Saiyans. He is the Predator who learned from the beasts, and when he believes the time is right, he will stand before the God of Destruction and demand what he considers his by right. Because for Frieza, divine power is not something to be granted, it is something to be conquered. Thus, while Goku and Vegeta continue evolving on their own journeys, a shadow rises on the borders of the universe. A cold, silent, and ruthless shadow that does not just desire a god's throne, but dominion over all of them. This shadow answers to a name that the cosmos itself has learned to fear: Frieza. If Frieza really managed to eliminate Beerus and assume the post of God of Destruction of Universe 7, no one would dare to stand in his way. He already rules with fear, and as a God of Destruction, his power would be legitimized by the gods themselves. The difference is that, unlike Beerus, who destroys to maintain balance, Frieza would destroy for pleasure, ego, and dominion. His vision of order is based on absolute control. For him, peace only exists when everyone bows before the strongest, and if he were the new god of destruction, the entire universe would kneel before him. The most frightening thing is that, in a way, Frieza has the necessary mindset for the job. He understands the concept of fear, knows the weight of domination, and knows how to impose authority without hesitation. But his essence is corrupted. Beerus, despite being lazy and egocentric, still has a sense of balance and obedience to cosmic laws. Frieza would have no limits. Planets, civilizations, even other forms of divine life could be eliminated just because he did not consider them worthy of existence. The Universe 7, under Frieza's command as God of Destruction, would be an empire of absolute terror. Every destruction would be a spectacle, every decision a sentence. He would use the power of destruction with cruel precision, not just erasing worlds, but molding the universe to his own image. It would be the first time a god of destruction would rule not in the name of the gods, but for himself, a cosmic tyranny sustained by divine power and a diabolical mind. And that is exactly what motivates him to want to eliminate Beerus. He does not simply want to surpass him in power, he wants to prove that the divine system is flawed. For Frieza, the gods are weak for following rules, and Beerus is the maximum symbol of that limitation. If Beerus were destroyed, Frieza would believe that he was correcting a flaw in the gods' hierarchy, complacency. He wants to replace boredom and balance with action and fear, making chaos his divine signature. However, a doubt still hangs over the cosmos. If Frieza really managed to defeat Beerus, would he automatically be the next god of destruction? Whis and Zehno himself would never choose someone so unstable, so driven by ego. But at the same time, power does not need permission. If Frieza reached the level of a god of destruction and mastered the energy of destruction, he could self-proclaim himself the new god, acting outside divine laws, creating a new era where fear replaces order. The angels and other gods of destruction themselves might hesitate to face him. Frieza is different from all the mortals who have challenged the divine. He does not fight for justice, redemption, or Saiyan pride. He fights for total supremacy. His reasoning is impeccable, his malice unlimited, and his current emotional control makes him almost impossible to manipulate. Facing him would mean declaring war against something that not even time could erase. The entire universe fears the day Beerus falls and Frieza ascends, because if that moment comes, there will be no more laughter, no more balance, or no more rest. Only cold and calculated destruction, an empire of darkness under the command of a god who was born of hatred and evolved through ambition. And when that day comes, the name Frieza will not only be feared, it will be worshipped as the name of the one who destroyed the gods themselves and raised a new reign over the void. And perhaps that is exactly what makes Frieza so dangerous. He does not seek the god of destruction title out of duty, but out of desire. While Beerus represents balance and order within chaos, Frieza represents chaos disguised as control. He wants to prove that he can command the universe with an iron fist and that the era of lazy gods is over. If he ever truly reaches that level, the entire cosmos will know a new form of divinity, one that grants no mercy, offers no purpose, and sees destruction not as a duty, but as an art. But comment on what you thought of all this, and don't forget the like. Thank you very much for the support from all of you, and until next time.